A lot of my inspiration and motivation for writing comes from when I discovered the indie horror scene. Because coming from music, I played in punk bands my entire life, and there's a self-starting, do-it-yourself mentality to that I also found in the independent horror publishing world. So I used to think that writing books or publishing stories was this monumental thing that only a chosen few got to do. And then discovering that there was a community much like the music one that I already belonged to, where people were publishing each other's stories or publishing their own, or like meeting up at conventions to talk about it and have drinks and hang out. That's been one of the big motivating factors and what has kind of almost given me permission to do these things on my own and felt like I had the agency to start writing in earnest. I was inspired to write horror and these types of stories by my early love of Goosebumps and R.L. Stine. I was always a bit of a spooky kid. I drew weird monsters. I loved Halloween. I loved all of that kind of stuff. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Shows that tended toward the macabre or the strange. So it felt easy to gravitate towards horror when I began writing seriously. The type of stories I write are horror that tends to be grounded in real relationships or real people. I write a lot about musicians, people in bands, because that's part of my experience. My latest book has a nuclear family in, and it's mostly set in this house, actually, because I like to follow the write what you know a little bit and like integrate parts of my real life into my stories. The process of writing a story for me changes depending on the project. It's not always the exact same or the most streamlined thing. Short stories, I usually have a scene or an idea that I want to get to, and then I build a world or a scenario around that. For Give Unto Us, I was moving into this house and found a pile of sand in the backyard that when it rained, a small blue shovel came out of it, and my brain just clicked into, what if this was bottomless and was an exchange system that you put things into and other things come back out of it. So that's where that one came from. And the process is different too, because this novel, Feral Hymns, that I've been working on for maybe 2 years. And in that time, I have maybe not gotten bored, but gotten to a stopping point and then written the entirety of Give Unto Us or short stories, or stopped and worked on a new project to kind of like fuel myself back up. I do most of my writing right here, actually, in my office. Being as busy as I am, I have to take any chance I can get. So if I'm jotting lines down on my phone or taking a laptop to a coffee shop while I'm getting my oil changed, or I try to steal any time that I have to do some part of it, whether it's outlining or drafting or working on selling books or any manner of thing like that. Balancing all the things that I'm interested in is actually one of the only challenges of this, because I essentially work 12-hour days and then try to get up early to work on writing and then have band practice late at night. So it's all about just choosing what I want to prioritize in that moment to try and move forward with stuff. Because if I'm in the middle of a project, I'll wake up every morning and write on that book, but sometimes writing isn't writing at all. Sometimes it's uploading books to Amazon. Sometimes it's asking artists for covers. Sometimes it's sourcing blurbs. It's all manner of administrative work too, especially for stuff that I publish on my own. So one of my favorite things I've written is a scene in my new book called Give Unto Us, where this family becomes possessed by a bottomless sand pit in their backyard. And the husband starts growing sores that mimic this sand pit, and when they burst, little bits of sand and pus come out of them. And there's a scene in the backyard where he's essentially worshiping this pit, and his wife has sex with him while inserting her fingers into his pustulous sores that mimic the sand pit. And I cackled while I wrote that and thought it was pretty gross. And then my mom was like, no, it was okay. The project I'm currently writing is a novel called Feral Hymns, and it's about 85,000 words right now. I think maybe another 10 and it'll be finished. And that's going to be my first project I intend to submit to agents and try and go wide with. All my other books have been published by smaller indie publishers or people that I know or people that I'm friends with, so it's been an easier road there, but this is the first one where I'm going to try and send it out and go big with it. I'm trying to finish it by the end of the year so I can start subbing it in earnest in January.